video, we're going to talk about what you can expect on the actual MPRE exam day. So first things first, what can you expect about the format of the exam? So the MPRE is a 60-question multiple choice exam. And of those 60 questions, 50 are scored. And you'll have 2 hours to complete this exam, assuming that you're taking this under regular timed constraints, meaning you don't have any sort of accommodations or extensions. So it's always best that you try to answer all of the questions. It's usually very challenging to tell the difference between what is a scored question and what is considered an experimental question. So again, you are increasing your chances of success by completing as many questions as possible under those timed constraints. So now that you know what to expect in terms of the format of the exam, let's talk briefly about test day policies. So the NCBI is pretty clear. They tell us that you have to bring along with you a government-issued photo ID along with your admission ticket. And your admission ticket requires you to also affix to it a passport-like photograph. So again, you want to make sure that you've completed those steps prior to trying to get into the actual testing facility. And remember that they have a lot of specifics about those other things that you can bring in with you and those things that you cannot bring into the exam. So just to give you a few ideas about what's allowed into the exam and what's not. You're allowed to bring in your eyeglasses, more specifically without the case. You can bring in medication. And usually you can even bring in medication out of its packaging. There are some exceptions, so just make sure, again, you're reading the rules specifically if you are concerned about bringing in medication. You're allowed to bring in handheld, non-electronic magnifying glasses if that's something that you wanted to use. And additionally, you're allowed to bring in mobility devices like a cane, a crutch, a wheelchair, a motorized scooter, those types of things. But then you'll notice that those are the only things I've listed that you generally are allowed to bring in. So this means you are not allowed to bring in things like your cell phone, for instance, or any sort of computer or laptop or e-cigarettes or large pieces of jewelry or watches or a purse or a wallet or food or beverages, hats, coats, jackets, books, notes. So again, there's a lot of things in which they're prohibiting on your person when you walk into the exam center. So it's always best to be prepared to double check their policy before you try to walk through the door. It's not uncommon that they might ask you to remove anything that's in your pocket or show your ears or to roll up your sleeves or to pat yourself down. So again, those are things that might happen upon your entrance into this exam. The other thing that I want to just point out is make sure that when you bring your ID into the exam, that your names, both first and last, match. Also, your admissions ticket that you are using to get into the exam. We want to make sure that all of your information matches so that you don't have any sort of security issue. So now let's talk about this newer format of the MPRE. Historically, the MPRE was like a pencil and paper book. You took it in a testing facility and you brought in number 2 pencils and you had a Scantron. They started experimenting with computer-based testing in recent years. And as of 2020, they are moving towards only a computer-based test. So this means that when you register for your exam, you're going to get information about which testing center you'll go to, and you will take this exam on a computer. So again, that is new as of 2020. So according to the NCBI, they give us an overview about what it's like to take the test under these new circumstances. And this information's on their website. So if you wanted to read it for yourself, you can easily find it there. But I want to talk about a few of the high points that they have made available to us. So they tell you that when you come into the test center and once you've been admitted, the test administrator or the TA is going to provide you with an erasable note board and a marker that you can utilize during your testing session. And you're not allowed to remove that item or those items with you when you leave the testing room. So whether you leave for a break or you're leaving because you're done with the exam, those items have to stay with that TA. If you need a new board or a new marker for some reason, you just raise your hand and the TA will come around and make those available to you. So the TA is supposed to log you into your workstation where you'll be stationed for the rest of your exam. They're going to verify that you're taking the MPRE, and you're going to have 5 minutes to review the MPRE instructions and certification screen. automatically your exam will begin after that 5-minute window. Or if you read it quickly and you hit next, it will start at that moment in time. And unless you've otherwise been instructed, they're very clear that you as an examinee are to remain in your assigned seat until you've been escorted out of your testing room by that TA. You're not allowed to communicate with any of the other examinees during the exam, and this includes any scheduled or unscheduled break. So if you're in the bathroom, you're not supposed to be talking to someone. Remember that there are no scheduled breaks during the exam, so if you choose to get up and use the restroom, that is time taking away from your timed exam. So they remind you about that on their information page, so keep that in mind when you practice. Anytime that you get up while the test is going on, let's say you do want a restroom break, the TA is going to escort you out of the room, and then when you come in, they're going to have to check who you are again, so they're going to check your ID, and they're also going to capture your palm vein pattern anytime you exit and re-enter, basically to make sure that you are the person you're claiming you are every single time you get up and sit back down. Keep in mind as well that they're going to log each and every time you get up and exit and re-enter the room. And the reason I point this out is because according to the NCBI, they say that you will be subject to further investigation and reported to the NCBI if you are taking long and frequent unscheduled breaks. Basically, it's going to look suspicious the more frequently you get up and the longer in which you are out of the room. They say that if you have any issues during the exam or you experience any sort of distractions or have questions, you raise your hand and the TA will come and assist you just like any other proctored exam. The TA cannot answer any questions about the actual exam or subject matter while it's going on. However, again, that is pretty standard. So if you've ever taken a proctored exam, this is not any different. From everything we gather, it looks like the biggest difference between taking the MPRE previously and taking it on their computer-based program is that you are going to be on a computer and you're going to be using this erasable noteboard with your pen versus a Scantron and a test booklet with a pencil. So again, overall, please be sure to check the security policy before your examination. That way there are no surprises. And if you're looking for the best way to prepare for the upcoming MPRE, please check out our free resources. We have a course, an outline, we have a free one-pager, as well as practice questions, both made up and actual released questions. So best of luck on your upcoming MPRE examination.